6ix9ine wins the case and is scheduled to go home.
To convict everybody who he got arrested with, they're going to drop all 9 charges and not prosecute.
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. A new update has been made in the situation with 6ix9ine about his legal case. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 4. What put him in jail?
All information of the activities of himself and others to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
This whole series of events began in November of last year. 6ix9ine was about to drop his first studio album, but then on October 18th, he was arrested by federal authorities in New York City on various crimes. These crimes include racketeering, conspiracy, possession of illegal firearms, and substances, among others. If you know the background of 6ix9ine, then you'll know he's had plenty of conflicts with the law.
And you know how mad all these haters that wish I was in jail is right now.
But for whatever reason, he always seems to escape serious charges. But it was the FBI who did the arresting this time. They did their homework on him before doing the arrest. They had been suspicious of him for a long time due to his alleged ties to a certain violent group in New York, a tie that he would sing about in tracks no less. And so they worked hard to get a case against him. They slowly got the evidence they needed to take him down. Because of the charges and the severity of them, there was no chance for a lucky break in terms of getting out of them, or at least not without something in return. He wasn't alone when he was arrested, for the record. The FBI also named a former group of friends and his ex-manager as accomplices for many of these crimes, which is ironic for many reasons, not the least of which is because just days before his arrest, 6ix9ine fired his group and his manager.
Austin, Texas, I fired everybody in my team. I got no manager, I got no booking agent, no PR, no public. I don't got nobody on my team.
There are some who believe that this was a tactic to throw certain people off his scent, but according to 6ix9ine, it was a trust issue that led to their dismissal. No matter what the real deal or the real reason, they all ended up in jail together. And if the charges were able to be rendered as stated, they would be in jail for a very long time, as the 2 charges against 6ix9ine and his crew had life sentence penalties. Because some of those charges weren't just pertaining to him, but to the group he was confirmed to be with. 2 of the accounts were life in prison, but even if he somehow skated away from those, which he had a knack of doing in the past, he would have been facing up to 47 years in prison due to the charges. So what did 6ix9ine do? At first, nothing. He tried to play it out in prison and court, but when it was clear that he wasn't going to get what he wanted, or for the most part, he knew he had to do something drastic, which led him to getting a plea deal. Number 3, the plea deal and its results.
Prosecute. The lawyer probably just misspoke. He left out a word. He probably meant to say the government agrees not to further prosecute.
So what did he get in regards to his plea deal? Well, the offer was to help the feds take down not only his former crew, but provide information on the group that he was a part of called the Trey Nines. All that was required of him was to provide the information that they needed and then give a guilty plea for all 9 counts provided against him in the court of law. Why does that matter? Well, unlike all of his charges in the past, these would stick on his permanent record. Not to mention give the FBI a win no matter what happened. Much of the rap world wasn't happy with what 6ix9ine did, as they felt 6ix9ine wasn't being as tough as he should have been, especially after all the stuff they spewed on his tracks and music videos. But the results that came from this plea deal speaks for themselves, as slowly but surely, the crew started to plead guilty, or take plea deals of their own. So far, 6 members of his former crew have done so, including Jencel Ish Butler, Gafano Shadi Jordan, and Fahim Crippy Walter. Jordan was his former manager, for the record. The 6 of these guilty pleas came from Aaron Bat Young, another member of 6ix9ine's crew. He pled guilty to the racketeering conspiracy charge, and that accelerated his sentencing up to July of this year. While this may sound pretty bad for him, as this is a serious charge to plead guilty to, he was actually charged with 2 other equally serious charges. And since he pleaded guilty like this, it no doubt means that a deal was done behind the scenes, which is becoming a very familiar tune for this case. Of course, the question you may have is, where does this leave 6ix9ine? Well, at present, there are still 5 members of the group that were arrested and still haven't pleaded guilty, but it's still relatively early. And with all the others falling like dominoes, they can see what's going on and try to get the best deal possible. Only time will tell on that front. But for 6ix9ine himself, his lawyers believe they can do something good for him. They have a plan that could get the rapper to actually get out of jail by September, provided all the other members of his crew plead out or by the time the month comes. Considering he wasn't even supposed to be sentenced until January of 2020, that would be a huge win for him. Why would this sort of event happen though? It all harkens back to the plea deal and the case in general. The case against the group is scheduled to go on an official trial in September, but now half the group has already pleaded guilty in one form or another. And if the rest do that, then there's no need for a trial, and thus it could be beneficial for 6ix9ine. Because of the terms of his plea deal requires 6ix9ine to hand over information that he can incriminate his fellow inmates, which he did happily. Plus, since he's been in jail since the arrest last November, he's already done a lot of the time in the slammer. So the lawyers are going to argue for time served and ask for his immediate release, which could work given all that has happened. This wouldn't be only a huge plus for 6ix9ine, but this would also be potentially a much earlier release. As noted, January was supposed to be when he was sentenced, which means an early release could save him from being in jail for several more months. And 6ix9ine's lawyers seem to have a knack for getting him out of situations early. However, it should be noted that while lawyers are going to try and do this, there's a good chance that this could happen. It's very far from a guarantee. First off, while he does have a deal, the deal itself doesn't say that he would be let off once all the other members of his crew are tried. It says through his cooperation, he'll get a lesser sentence and avoid the 2 charges that carry life sentences with them. So no matter what happens, he won't spend the rest of his life in jail, which is a good thing, but it may not be enough. For the FBI, or just the judge, could determine that despite his help, he still committed some serious crimes. Because of bravado or not, he was part of a various dangerous group, and whether it was his former crew or his group, he did things that are illegal times 10. And that's what some think, that while he could get a lesser sentence, he could still spend some time in jail beyond what he's doing right now, as he waits for his official sentencing. Which actually begs an interesting question. Number 2, how is 6ix9ine doing behind bars? 6ix9ine has noted many times previously hasn't had the best of luck with the law, and yet has also had great luck with the law. For despite being arrested multiple times for a variety of charges, he always gets out of them. Until now, that is. Which makes the last several months the first time he's ever truly been in jail. He's been in jail since November of 2018 and will remain there until a judge says he can go free. As many TV shows and movies have said, prison changes a man. So how has that changed 6ix9ine? Well, mainly, it changed him physically. 6ix9ine is being represented by Lance Lazzaro, who in an earlier session of the court had actually been removed as his attorney because, according to the judge presiding over the case, Lazzaro had represented 2 of the other people arrested with 6ix9ine in a previous case, and that would constitute a conflict of interest of sorts. But Lazzaro fought the ruling, and 6ix9ine had himself take the stand, and 6ix9ine himself had to take the stand recently in order to clear up the air about some things. Many people came to watch 6ix9ine speak about the matter to the judge, and when they did, one of them noted the changed physical appearance of 6ix9ine. Today's court hearing is about whether or not Lance Lazzaro could continue to be 6ix9ine's lawyer. The person says in the clip, they had Tekashi come in and take the stand in this courthouse right here. And Tekashi looked good. He looked like he's been working out. The hair dye is worn out, so his hair color's back, and the braids aren't quite as tight, or as though they once was. But he looked good. He was responsive. The statement paints a pretty clear picture of the current situation of 6ix9ine. You see, 6ix9ine may not have his full say about his life in prison, but he's gotten some things that have helped him survive, and he's had enough freedom to somehow buy his girlfriend a very expensive gift while behind bars. No, seriously, he did. Regardless of that though, this shows that 6ix9ine is feeling the effects of a long stay in prison, and is having to adapt the best he can to the situation. His hair in particular matters, as 6ix9ine is known for his colorful dreadlocks, and he proudly displays them in every music video that he makes and every custom art piece that he does. Not being able to keep his hair in the style that he wants proves the limitations that he has in there, including not having access to hair dye or a professional hair person, which is something you'd expect in a prison with a prisoner of this nature, but it's still nice to see. As for him bulking up a bit, that makes sense given the context of his situation. After all, a prison gym is one of the few luxuries that many inmates have, and it gives them something to focus on when they're outside in the yard. And this would actually be one of the few times he'd be outside with his fellow inmates, given the fact that he was able to get secluded quarters away from violent offenders. So him working out could be a sign that he wants to be tougher in case things go bad in the prison, while he's still awaiting his sentencing. And since he took a plea deal, and the prisoners don't like snitches, that's quite wise. As far as we know though, there haven't been any major incidents, likely because the FBI is wanting to make sure that he's protected so they can continue to get information out of him. He's like a gold mine in terms of breaking down and taking down his former group, and the FBI wants to get them all. So they'll keep 6ix9ine safe and sound until he has no more information to give. And so that leads us to number 1, if he gets out.
Very next page, the transcript clearly says that the government has not made any promises about what the sentence will be and that the judge will set a sentence.
So let's say September comes and he gets out. What then? That's a bit of a sticky wick, if we're gonna be honest here, because this is a path that can go in many different ways. First off, it's possible that once he's free, he'll go back to his rapper lifestyle. But if he does that, he'll be met with a certain resistance, as many rappers aren't happy that he snitched on his former crew. Whether that goes for the record labels, only time will tell. Another avenue of events that could go through is that instead of going back to his own life, he may be forced to go into another life via witness protection. Granted, this would only happen if the FBI felt someone would be able to reach him and take his life, which would be plausible given who we're talking about here. And if that would happen, he would have to completely abandon his 6ix9ine personality, lifestyle, and be moved to somewhere else. The truth is, there's no way of knowing what will truly happen to 6ix9ine if he gets out, especially since at present, there's no guarantee that he will get out soon. There are still a lot of things that will have to break his way for him to get that early release, and one of them is a judge who feels that time served is enough for a crime for everything that he's he's done. It's not impossible, but it's hard to say if that'll happen. One thing for sure though is that this case will continue to have eyes on it with each new development. And there you have it, the latest updates on the 6ix9ine case situation. Can you believe the luck that is befalling 6ix9ine in terms of his crew pleading guilty? Also, what do you think will be his fate in the months to come? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time on Ging Trending. A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.